Bruce Pannier is a Central Asia analyst, and he joins me now live from Prague. It's a pleasure to have you on the program, sir. Now, there is a state of emergency currently in place. What does that mean for the Karakalpaks, and how much power does this give the government?
Well, obviously, they're not able to move around very freely at the moment. There's a number of restrictions on entry and exit from the area at the moment. It's very difficult to get in or out, so it gives security forces a chance to make sure that they have total control over the area before they lose some of these restrictions, which, like you said, it's not till a month from now. But I mean, it restores order, I suppose, but in the meantime, I suppose it also sends a message to the Karakalpaks themselves about the future of protests in the region, that it won't be tolerated, and that there would be something of a repeat of this. Then that the Uzbek authorities, of course, keeping a very close eye on what's happening out there now.
Do you think that there is a possibility that this situation will turn into an ethnic conflict between the Uzbeks and the Karakalpaks?
I know that there are reports there's some fighting between them, but they have been living out there for a long time, and this is really the only region where the Karakalpaks live in Uzbekistan. They're not very widely scattered across the rest of the country. More of them live in Kazakhstan than live outside of Karakalpakstan and Uzbekistan. So I don't really see that as having a potential to be an ethnic conflict. And really, the reasons for these protests were all social. Even in your report, it was mentioned. It really didn't have anything to do with ethnic conflict with the Uzbeks at all, and not even so much with the potential loss of sovereignty. Although I think that was the last straw that broke the camel's back in this case.
What would have changed if authorities opted for sitting down and negotiating from the beginning? How could we see that happening? Could we see authorities sit to negotiate a solution?
Well, obviously, it would have been better if they would have talked about this a little more. Now, what sparked this was the fact that there is a draft constitution right now and amendments to it that would have stripped Karakalpakstan of its right to sovereignty, its claim to be in an autonomous region, it's probably its right to have a parliament, and more importantly, I suppose, and really it's only symbolic, but they do have the right to hold a referendum and secede from Uzbekistan if they wish. In fact, it would be impossible. But I think authorities didn't calculate that those changes would generate this kind of response. So it would have been better if they had talked a little bit more about this. It was actually under discussion, public discussion, which is the reason why this protest broke out. But I think the Uzbek authorities in Tashkent thought they were just going to slide this right through. I mean, really, the main focus on these amendments to the Constitution were on the fact that the president was going to be able to serve more than 2 terms in office, and at least until these problems broke out in Karakalpakstan.
And just to get more background on the status of Karakalpakstan, how important is it for the people there to hold on to their rights of being able to hold an election and being able to secede from Uzbekistan?
Well, as I mentioned, it's kind of symbolic. I don't think anyone, including the Karakalpaks and Karakalpakstan, would be fooled into believing that they would actually be able to hold a referendum and declare themselves independent from Uzbekistan. It's almost 40% of the territory of Uzbekistan. It's rich in natural gas. It's hard to believe that the Uzbek authorities would let that go. But in the meantime, it's an area that's been largely ignored for most of the 30+ years of independence. As mentioned, social conditions are horrible. Unemployment is high. They suffer from health problems because they're out there by the dried out Aral Sea. So alkaline soils blow out into the air. People there suffer from respiratory problems, a number of other issues connected with that too. And I think the fact that after all that and having had so little attention paid to their problems, that they were going to lose one of the only distinctions they had, which at least they could make themselves feel a little bit better about, was really enough for them. And they couldn't take that anymore. They were about to be relegated to the same status as the whole rest of Uzbekistan, with no special features given to the region at all. And even with those special features, like I said, the area was deteriorating. So I think they were afraid things would just get much worse for them.
All right, Central Asia analyst Bruce Pannier, thank you so much for joining us here on Tier 2 World.